What's up, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Casual Obsession, the horror movie podcast that you don't know and might love.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. Obviously, for those of you who don't know, it was just Christmas yesterday. Right? Christmas was on a Friday, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was just Christmas yesterday. And we were all up in the Yuletides, dancing around, having fun,
Making
socially distancing, wearing masks.
Having a good time separately.
You know, some of us here on the podcast were watching a cute little Christmas movie about family called Krampus.
Wait, were only some of us supposed to watch it?
Well, so some of us is in like a collective in the world.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But we are supposed to be in that some of us.
Okay, because I was
Honestly,
about to say
I want to meet.
If I wasn't supposed to, then sorry.
See, now I'm just thinking I want to meet the person that every Christmas they're like, all right, come on, kids, let's sit around the tree and watch Krampus.
That's you.
We're trying to teach them something.
Yeah, that was something that while we were watching Krampus, Noah is like, you know, for someone who doesn't like this movie all that much, I sure have seen it 9 times.
Since when do you not like this movie that much? I thought you...
Well, hold on, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay,
I'll clarify Nina's misquote.
It was, I know that was a correct quote.
Okay, well, besides misquoting Noah, we're here to talk about the movie Krampus from 2015, starring various people. And, you know...
Notably, Toni Collette.
There are people in this
Toni
movie.
Collette, Adam Scott, the kid from Chef.
Is
the
that...
Chef kid, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. I, recognized him, and I spent, the first 10 minutes of the movie trying to figure out where I knew him. And luckily, I had watched Chef recently, so I was able to kind of pinpoint it.
I kind of tune that out when it comes to kids in movies, because half the time when there is a kid in the movie, I look at him and I'm like, I know I recognize this kid from somewhere. Do I care enough to try and figure out where it was? And I usually conclude that it's not worth it.
For me, half the time that I recognize a kid in a movie, it's Taylor Momsen, singer of The Pretty Reckless, because she was in more than a couple movies as a kid, including The Grinch.
Right.
So...
We do love the Grink.
We do love the Grink.
Love the Grink.
The Grink.
But yeah.
Well,
I didn't know that was the kid from Chef, but neat.
Yeah, fun facts of the day. That's my one fun fact. And yeah, so Krampus. What is Krampus? Who is Krampus? What's happening here? I'm sure all of those questions are running through your mind right now.
That's what I'm
They are. Yes. I'm glad that you're going to answer them because I've been wondering all afternoon.
Yeah,
I was so
I'm about to answer
them.
watching
the movie.
Yeah, so
who is this guy?
Who is this guy? Who is Krampus?
I wish they told us anything in the movie.
Can you let her answer your questions?
Who is this guy? Who is Krampus? Well, for those of you not in the know, Krampus originates from kind of Central Europe, specifically around Germany, but old Germany. And so Krampus was a traditional creature that accompanied Saint Nicholas, who was Europe's kind of version of Santa, and who was a saint in the Catholic Church. He would come to town every 6th of December to bring all the good girls and boys and non-binary children presents. And if you were bad, rather than giving you a lump of coal or anything, he would sick Krampus on you. Krampus is described as a goat-like bipedal furry creature with long horns, a viciously long tongue that would carry around these twigs and would beat kids with them.
Sorry, that's
if
not
you
funny.
were really bad,
it's very funny.
He would also maybe drag you down to hell. But if you were really, really bad, then he would just eat you.
Is being eaten worse than being dragged directly to hell?
I mean, I imagine you're going to go down to hell
$200.
anyway. Krampus just has to go to the bathroom real quick once he goes back home.
If you were going to go to hell, Jeff, would you rather take the direct route or the scenic route? That's all I'm saying.
I think I would want to take my time on the way there. I think I'd want to stay out for as long as possible.
Google, how long is a Krampus digestive tract?
Exactly. Perfect. So, Krampus actually came about because of the Catholic Church. Obviously, as Catholicism spread, a lot of more pagan or local traditions and beliefs got kind of absorbed into Catholic ideology. And
Catholicism be like that.
Catholicism do be like that. And Krampus was one such of those things. So, what actually, like, nobody really knows the true origin of Krampus and all of his many features. But kind of the best guess that I was able to find online was that in, like, Germany area, so the same area we were talking about before, parts of France, like, just kind of Central Europe in general, there was a tradition of a woman called Perchta, the winter goddess. And Perchta had some little helpers called Perchten who would come before her that were like these evil, like goblin-looking creatures. And they would like storm through your house to like ward off evil spirits and stuff. They weren't necessarily malevolent. They just looked creepy. But Perchta had two forms. One was in the form of a beautiful woman that would come and like give silver coins and children's shoes to children who were good, and to children who were bad, she would appear as like a withered old hag that would cut open your stomach and eat your spleen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it was like tradition for like adults and everybody to kind of like dress up as the little Perchten, and they would run around town, like run through people's houses, just kind of causing havoc and like bringing people gifts. It was described as like adult trick-or-treating almost, where you would give like the good little kids like presents, and the families would give you like alcohol and maybe some food.
Add that to the
I love
list
how
of
many old
traditions
world
I want to bring
practices.
back.
Yeah.
So many old world practices were like, yeah, you go to someone's house and they give you alcohol.
Yeah, it's great. I love
And
it.
frequently you get to dress up funny while you're doing it. Like,
Yeah, I was
Just-
gonna
I'm not
say,
seeing
Like
any
the horse skull.
downsides.
Yeah.
for Halloween in my like neighborhood, we used to do that back home. Is you'd go from house to house, kids would get candy, adults would get Jello shots, and that was that.
What a good idea.
So over time, this image of Perchta kind of got absorbed into like the goblin-like figures, and created more of like this goat figure called Krampus. And Krampus originally, and many of people still like figure him to be not like one identity, but like this race. And but it kind of like came to turn into that, where people would dress up as these like Krampus figures and like do the same things as like this Perchten like tradition. However, as the Catholic Church came in, they were like, ooh, that looks a little bit too much like Satan. Like, that's not okay. We
They
gotta
don't like
stop
that.
that. And people were like, no, like, we've been doing this. Like, we're gonna keep doing it. And so the Catholic Church ended up absorbing Krampus into its theology, and we're like, oh, this is like the shadow of Saint Nicholas, and he'll come and like take the bad children and do all these things. And villagers eventually like accepted this, because it was either that or like accepting that it was being absorbed and the Catholic Church still allowing them to do it, or the Catholic Church would kind of like put them down. And so now the only difference being on Krampusnacht, where they go around and like dress as Krampus and do these things is they have to have like this Saint Nicholas character going around with them as well.
So I just had this revelation about Krampus. He's kind of like Gritty.
Oh.
Does Saint Nicholas have to go around with Gritty too?
And Gritmus was on Krampusnacht this year.
It was on Krampusnacht this year.
Now, Noah, please, for those of our audience who don't know, tell us about Gritty. Who is Gritty?
Gritty is officially nothing more than the mascot for the Philly Flyers, a hockey team.
However, he is also a chaos god.
Yeah. But I was just, while you were telling us about Krampus, I looked over and Nina's looking up, is Krampus part of the Catholic, like, whatever.
Catholic canon.
Catholic canon. And there's this tab that says the Catholic Church and the fascists tried to ban Krampus, but they couldn't. And I'm just like, oh no.
The parallels just
else
keep stacking up.
People tried to ban but couldn't.
I'm sorry, not to throw off your flow. Please do continue.
Thanks. Cool. So one of the beliefs is that part of Krampus's like look is that he has all these chains and bells around him, and some people believe that came to be due to kind of the Catholic Church being like, oh, he has to have like bells and chains to show that like he's been bound or something.
He's a slave to
by
Santa.
God. And
title of my
yeah. So, like really, this is all speculation. We don't know the true origin of Krampus or like the various aspects of him, because like that information typically when like a big organization like the Catholic Church comes in and takes over things, they like get rid of it.
Yeah.
And so tracks. We haven't found anything. However, if you do want to listen to a fun video about Krampus and some of the potential like sources of him, I would recommend going to Mythology and Fiction Explained on YouTube. He's got a great video on Krampus, and that's where I got a lot of this information.
Cool.
But yeah, so with all that said, I guess I'll actually do a little summary of what we're talking about, which is the Krampus movie. So the Krampus movie is about this family of like more left-wing people. They've got a son who's probably about like 9, we'll say. And
the worst handwriting on a 9-year-old I've ever seen in my life.
Truly. He maybe was a little younger. I don't know. But
I think he's supposed to be younger than he looks. Actually, I just realized I left my notes in the other room. I'm going to have to go get those. I am a fool.
Go get those while I'm continuing to describe
you do
things.
The summary, because I know what happens in the movie.
Yeah. So there's the kid, there's a teenage daughter, the 2 parents, and the German grandma who will only speak German.
I do love the German grandma.
But understands English. And so they're inviting the mom's sister's family over, who are very right-wing, and they do not get along. An aunt that the mom really does not enjoy tagged along. And so it's just like a lot of conflict between the families, and that family's like kids really bully like the main character, who's the little boy, and they end up stealing his note to Santa and reading it out loud at the dinner table, and the son gets really mad and eventually like gets it back after causing a big scene with everybody, goes upstairs and just like shreds it up because he's really mad and he doesn't believe in Santa anymore. And so these pieces of the note fly outside and into the clouds, and his unbelief and the various family members' selfishness are what summon Krampus to this area. And so Krampus arrives with this huge blizzard, and shit goes off. And that is my non-spoilery summary.
Honestly, I don't even think we need a spoilery summary. I think that's
sounded
pretty much the
think
movie.
that
I think
basically
there's
gets
a
it.
couple things you could say in a spoilery summary.
And we'll get to that too.
And we'll get to that
after the break.
after the break. Yeah, but I'm
Welcome back,
interested.
everyone.
What did you guys think? Did you like this movie? How would you rate it, perhaps, on a numerical scale? Looking online at Rotten Tomatoes, which is obviously a beacon of movie knowledge.
Yes.
Certainly.
It's true.
Krampus
I mean,
received...
you don't even need to say it. We already know this movie is 100% certified fresh.
Yeah, this movie is 66%
That's
On
actually
the-
higher than I thought it would be.
on the tomato meter and 51% for the audience score.
Huh.
So I'm interested to see what you guys think. How'd you like it?
You know, I'll go first because I knew the entire plot of this movie. I knew every story beat and everything that happened, apart from like one or two minor things. So this is but this was my first time seeing it. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it pulled off being a Christmas movie and a horror movie at the same time. Ending, I'll talk about this more later. It wasn't my favorite possible ending. It could have been, but it wasn't terrible either. So I think I'd give this probably like, do we do this out of 10?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably give this like a 5 or a 6. Probably a 6.
Ooh,
I'd say
wow,
6.
harsh. Okay.
Okay.
No.
It's
Noah.
fine.
Tell us how you feel.
See, I give this movie a strong 7, like light 8 kind of vibe. Because I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's not a good movie, but it's so much fun.
It is a lot of
It's
fun.
such a fun movie, and I have a lot of good memories attached to this movie. Getting freaking smacked by mulled wine one Christmas is very attached to this movie.
When he says smacked by mulled wine, he doesn't mean he got wasted. He means he sat down and fell asleep for the whole movie.
Yeah, it was a very hot apartment. I was in my Krampus sweater, and I had a couple glasses of mulled wine.
And
I
his
sat
mulled
down,
wine
finished my
puts
last
you
glass.
straight to sleep. It happened to me
I don't
too.
know. Oh my gosh, I don't know how I do it.
Do you
I don't
put
know what I put
fucking
in it.
Benadryl in it? What the hell?
I think he
Shut up,
does.
Emma. It's a secret recipe. But yeah, but Jeff and I saw it in theaters.
We did.
100% worth the money to see it in
was a
theaters.
good
That was a
time.
blast. Yeah, it's just an enjoyable movie. It's fun to have on, and it feels distinctly Christmassy.
Oh,
There's a
absolutely.
lot of horror movies that are Christmas focused, like Black Christmas is a great example of a movie that is not a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It just takes place on Christmas. Whereas this is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, this movie
that people
absolutely
die.
hits all the Christmas movie beats that it needs to. All the music in it is Christmas music. Like, everything about it is executed the way that a Christmas movie ought to be.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
I would like you to go next because I want to go last.
Has
'cause
Noah
I'm
given
special.
his numerical score yet?
He said,
Yeah.
He said
strong
7 or
7, early 8.
Oh, okay. I feel like a fool because you guys have rated it so low so far. I wanted to give it like a soft 9 because I had such a good time watching it.
I think that's super valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Like, everything about it is just so well done. Every shot looks really good. All the Christmassy parts play super Christmassy. If you were to watch it exclusively as a Christmas movie, it executes that perfectly even with all the horror beats that it has. Even in the rougher, more horror-centric portions, there's still, like, goofy sound effects going on throughout the violence. Like, you are constantly
Now,
being
I'm
reminded
glad
that
you
this
said
is
that,
a
Jeff,
Christmas movie
Because that makes me even more excited for this episode. Because I, too, am going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm probably a little biased for reasons I will get into. But I really, really enjoyed this. And I had so much fun with it. And I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah.
And maybe the fact that I haven't heard as many, I I haven't watched as many like horror movies, so I don't necessarily know all these like holiday horror movie tropes or anything. I still like had a great time.
Well, I'll fill you in. The holiday horror movie trope is typically just that it kind of sucks a little.
There's a Christmas tree in it.
That's the trope.
Yeah. Is that why we watched the slashers on like the holidays?
Ouch.
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
glad
we'll see
that
who's laughing when we watch My Bloody Valentine.
it'll
Love
be
My
you
Bloody
guys. Is what
Valentine.
I
All of
guess.
us laughing at how much that movie sucks.
No.
I don't
Are we
think
watching
it's
movie?
The
It's
new
a
one or
good-
the old one?
No, the new one's
I
very
haven't
bad.
seen the new
Yeah,
one.
that's what I know.
Jensen Ackles is in it.
Jensen Ackles.
We're not
Jensen
here to
Ackles.
talk about Valentine's Day.
Anyways,
It's
enough
true.
about
We're here
Super
to
Hell
talk
for
about
gay
Stu.
angels. Let's talk about Super Hell for naughty kids instead.
Yeah. Let's actually talk about trigger warnings. The first
that's
trigger
not fun.
warning that I would like to mention is there is a dog. It's not explicitly
It's
told
implied
that it
dog death?
dies.
We know
But
that the
Yeah.
dog is engaged in a horrible fight, but
Yeah.
none of it is shown, and we never see
Yeah.
the dog again afterwards, so...
Yeah. So the dog's probably dead.
Yeah. Some children
Um,
get eaten.
Yeah.
Honestly,
there
beyond
are-
regular horror stuff, nothing pops up for me outside of the dog.
What about the
Yeah.
baby? We don't see the baby die, but the baby gets swiped and carried
The
off into
baby.
the cold.
I was gonna say the baby kind of just disappears.
It's implied.
If you have a problem with that, then, and I would say this is maybe a trigger for a lot of Christmas movies as well, but if you have a tough family life, you don't like seeing that depicted on screen.
Actually, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
This movie does have a
Yeah.
lot of that.
Yeah, I watched
I
it
have
with
a
my
big
wife,
note
and
on
she
that,
had
too.
kind of a rough time because they reminded her a lot of her family.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Sorry, Jeff's
It's
wife.
rough.
Anyway, that's the big one for me, but I honestly, other than that, there's some body horror stuff.
I want to mention another one that I've not really publicly talked about this fear before. And it's not one that I hear a lot of people talking about. But it's something that I personally hate and freaks me out a lot. So a lot of the creatures in this have very creepy masks. And not so much in like, like porcelain masks sort of thing or like wooden masks sort of thing. It's like those sorts of masks. And those just really freak me out.
Oh, yeah?
Emma, do you hate porcelain dolls also?
Kinda, yeah.
There is
I
one of
hate
those, and it's
those.
kind of evil. It's the
It is
scariest part of
kinda
the movie,
creepy.
I'd say.
Hands
Like,
down.
You
Are
know,
you also afraid of mannequins at all, or is it just the mask thing?
mannequins are weird.
Mannequins
but-
only get weird when they get more detailed, though, right?
Yeah.
If it's like the
But-
vaguest possible approximation of a human form as a mannequin, that's like the prime mannequin. It's not scary.
When I was in Germany, we saw mannequins that had nipples, and that was the most disconcerting thing I've ever seen in my life.
But why?
Well, we were walking past like sex shops,
Oh, that's
and they
right.
had nipples so that you could see them poking underneath the lingerie.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, that's just sex shop mannequins. But then we were in the airport, and the mannequins in the airport also had nipples.
Maybe they
Yeah.
borrowed them from the sex shop. Did you think of that?
No.
Budget cuts.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Europe is
Emma.
just very different in how they think about nudity and all that stuff. And so they'll just throw that out. Because, like, when I was a kid and I lived in Germany, we would drive to Luxembourg to go to this, like, cool movie theater. And so I saw a lot of movies there, most of them being, like, kids' movies, like Harry Potter. But before those movies, they'd show a bunch of advertisements with just, like, full nudity
Oh.
and everything. So yeah, it's just like different cultural
That's
stuff.
Europe. Okay, not to continue this train, but I'll do one more and then we can get back to the movie. When my family was in Spain, we were on a topless beach, which was one thing, because
Yep.
it was mostly mothers and old ladies. But we went for a walk, and upon that walk, we came upon a full nude beach, and we're just walking, and suddenly my dad says, "Walk faster, we're going back." And we get out of view of whatever the thing was. I didn't see, but my brother and father have divulged to me that it was fully nude old men.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
so yeah, Europe's just a different
different
situation.
space.
But back to these masks, Emma. That the hollow, like, uncanny valley thing,
Yeah,
is that part of it?
yeah. Like every mask in this movie, I did not enjoy.
Oh.
Not like as a, ooh, I just think that looks really tacky, but ooh, I think that's really creepy.
Fair enough.
And I think one of the first things that really triggered this is going back to a movie that we've brought up a few times on this podcast, and that's very important to me. Cabin in the Woods.
Ah, yes.
There's this scene where all the monsters are coming out of the elevator, and spoilers for Cabin in the Woods, in case you haven't seen it. All the monsters are coming out of the elevators, and there's this one shot where it shows these 3 people in suits wearing, like, porcelain face masks walking. Like, that shit freaked me the fuck out. I hated that. That is the epitome of what I hate about masks.
Fair enough. So before you watch The Purge ever, I think it's fair to warn you there is a lot of that in The Purge.
Yeah.
And The Strangers.
I was
which
just about to say, so I
Google.
guess we're never going to watch The Strangers.
We
That's a
can
big
watch
part of
those
The
things. I
Strangers.
mean, me doing this podcast is me confronting, like, my fears in the horror genre.
Great,
So-
because Noah just posted an image of the characters.
Great, thanks.
Yep, no problem.
So, yeah, I don't like that. Any other trigger warnings you guys can think of?
Nope,
Nope.
I think we got
I can't
everything
think
I
of
could think
anything.
Okay, yeah, I think that's fair. So, other than that, I guess we just have a quick little segment. Emma, do you have, like, a scary rating?
I was just about to say the same thing.
Of course I have a scary rating. Thanks for asking.
How
By
scary
golly.
is this movie?
It's... Now, I don't want to alarm any of our listeners out there. For those of you who don't know, I haven't watched many scary movies, horror movies. I haven't watched very many holiday-themed horror movies, specifically like the winter month holidays. This might be the scariest winter holiday movie I've seen.
Wow.
Probably
Wow.
the only other scary winter holiday movie I've seen is Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So
Terrifying,
I'm
Yeah.
going
to
to give
be
this
fair.
a 10 out of 10.
You
10
know
out of
what?
10
I respect
scary.
it. I respect it.
Also because of the masks. The masks actually bump it up to an 11 out of 10 scary.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Very valid.
Yeah. Thank
Honestly,
you. I am
valid that this movie is the scariest one we've had yet.
No, valid. Rudolph, I would say, is scarier only because I personally was scared to shit of the Abominable Snowman, which I'm sure many people were. The
No,
sound,
he was adorable.
the sound design on his
He
appearances.
sounds so much scarier than he should, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, enough about scary movies. Let's talk about Krampus.
Yeah,
Interestingly enough,
so-
the monster in Krampus also bounces.
Much like a bubble. Much,
Much
like a bubble.
like a bumble.
So, okay. Real quick, going into the spoilery summary. To pick up from before, Krampus arrives with this huge winter storm with a bunch of Krampus's little helpers, which are not really part of Krampus folklore. They're more taken from, I think, the Perkton that Krampus is kind of like based on, and maybe a little bit from the Yule Lads, which are, if you've seen
Gotta
Sabrina
love
the
the
Teenage
Yule
Witch,
The Yule Lads.
yeah, well, I guess the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. They make an appearance there. They're these, like, mischievous pranksters that, like, harass and scare kind of the population and do creepy stuff. Typically, they'll like steal children and bring them back to their mother, Grilla, who will eat the children. But I think like a lot of the like little side monsters and stuff are kind of based on those two like areas. So yeah, so the main kid's sister goes out into the snow to go visit with her boyfriend for reasons that I'll leave up to your imagining. And then when she doesn't come
show
back,
off a pretty big bong earlier.
Yeah, when she doesn't come back, everybody starts freaking out, and so the dads go out to try to find her, and they start getting attacked by a snow creature that you never really see that like drags you into the snow. They got away, got back to the house. They're like, what the fuck is going on? And then grandma's like, I'll tell you what's going on. It's fucking Krampus.
That is exactly what she says.
Yeah, it's exactly what she says in English. Perfect English, I might add. And then she tells a story about how when she was a little girl, she had an experience where she kind of gave up on the holidays, and in a very similar manner to the main kid in this story, like crumpled up her Santa's letter and just like said fuck it. Then Krampus arrived, killed all of her family and friends, and left her to remember the importance of the holiday and why you should respect it.
You just gotta be firm with kids, you know?
Yeah, and a very, very important note is the importance of sacrifice in the holiday. You see, that's a theme that's very important in this movie, is sacrifice. So, okay. So, Grandma warns everybody. Everybody falls asleep at night, and they start getting attacked by all Krampus's little helpers. And a few people die there. There's a really scary, like, clown Jack-in-the-Box monster that I did not enjoy either, as well as some weird gingerbread cookie boys. And
I really hate the gingerbread boys.
Yeah, and a creepy, like, porcelain angel doll with, like, a Chucky voice. And, yeah, just lots of creepiness, and people are dying. They're fighting their way out. Eventually, their house is broken into by elves, but like creepy elves wearing creepy masks, and they start taking people. Then everybody runs away, trying to get to a snowplow they had seen earlier in the movie. Everybody's getting picked off one by one until the main kid is the only one that's left, and he eventually goes and confronts Krampus, saying, like, this isn't what he wants. Like, he wants his family back and to take him instead. And so Krampus takes the boy and throws him into hell. But then the boy wakes up, and it's Christmas morning, and his families are getting along, and they're opening presents, and it's a fun time. And then it, like, zooms out, and it shows that they're actually in a snow globe in Krampus's workshop. And that's the movie.
Yeah.
Anything I miss? Anything important?
I think the moment where they all look at the Krampus Bell and realize and remember like everything that happened the night before is a pretty critical stomach sinking moment for me.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, wait a minute, we didn't make it out of this alive. Like, they aren't under any delusion that they made it out.
Yeah.
Either, which I did enjoy.
Yeah, that was really cool. Just to put context to what Nina is saying, the first present the boy opens that's given to him is a Krampus Bell, which his grandmother also received after Krampus arrived and killed everybody. And it's kind of like the stand-in for a lump of coal. It's like the Krampus Bell to, like, tell you, like, you've been an asshole, you need to be better. But it's too little too late for them because they're in hell.
Haha.
Gotcha.
I'm interested to see what you guys thought. And
I want
So,
to know what you thought.
Right away, I have a very important pitch for
Yeah.
you.
Here he
All right,
goes.
Okay,
you ready?
I'm ready.
Here he goes.
Picture this. It's
picturing
this
it.
year.
It's
And
this year. I'm
everyone's
there.
like, how can we bring everyone together? I've
How
got
could
it.
we?
We're remaking National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Genius.
Okay?
He's got it.
I hate that movie.
I've
Now,
never actually seen that movie.
Don't.
Is that a horror movie?
In a
should
way.
Because Chevy Chase is in it.
yeah, Chevy Chase is in it. So
Horrifying.
Trigger
first,
warning.
we get
Chevy Chase.
we get Chevy Chase to reprise his original role, but everyone acts like he's young. No one acknowledges he's very old now. No, that's not it. We replace Cousin Eddie with Howard. David Koechner is made to play the Cousin Eddie role.
Practically the same character in a lot of ways.
Honestly,
I
that
was
was
gonna
the
say, is
first
that
thing.
not just what he's playing?
I
in
mean,
this
he fits
movie?
the exact same role in the narrative, but he is a bit of a different man. But I think
he's a
he'd
much
fit it
classier
perfectly.
person.
You toss
he's
him in
a
that
more
leisure suit, it
capable
works.
person. This is true.
So speaking of,
But yeah, I just wanted to pitch that to you guys. See how you feel about my great billion-dollar
It's a
idea,
terrible
David
idea.
Koechner as Cousin Eddie.
I need you to
No,
give
it's
me
actually a
your
fine idea.
fan cast for every other character first, but I might.
I'll get back to you on that later.
so
Adam Scott as Chevy Chase.
I thought you had
On
Chevy
that-
Chase as Chevy Chase. Oh,
On
Adam Scott and
that
Chevy Chase
note-
both simultaneously attempting to play Chevy Chase's character.
I would actually watch that.
No, Adam Scott as Chevy Chase, and Chevy Chase butthurt that he wasn't brought back and trying to act the scenes next to him, getting increasingly flustered. Everyone's ignoring him.
Okay. No, I'd watch that. But on the note of, wow, this movie really feels like a Christmas movie. And
I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
if the opening few scenes gives me big Home Alone vibes as well.
Absolutely.
Which is like, that's one thing that I really enjoy about this movie is both with the like moral and like kind of through plot of remembering the Christmas spirit or whatever, you know, as you do in a
Yeah,
Christmas movie.
it's taking all of its cues from other Christmas movies.
It's
Yeah.
not playing it like as a joke. It's playing it pretty straight. And
Yeah.
I like it when a movie, as we saw with Overlord, I kind of like it when a movie takes its concept and actually runs with it instead of being like, oh, meta. It's like sometimes we can just have a Christmas movie
Yeah.
that's also a horror movie.
Yeah. I do want to call out one specific great thing that this movie took from another classic Christmas movie, Die Hard, where Bruce Willis's character is crawling through the vents, and in this movie, the creepy Jack-in-the-Box
No,
is
you're
crawling through
absolutely
the
right.
vents. Yeah.
That's
One
true.
I was like,
100%
where is she
direct
going with
reference.
this? I was like, is Emma really one of those people who's like, oh, Die Hard is my favorite Christmas movie? But no, you actually did have a connection there.
Yeah.
And I am impressed.
Yeah. My favorite
Wow.
Christmas movie is Nightmare Before Christmas, but
No, that's super valid.
this
Nice.
might
It's a
be a
good
new
one.
one that I watch every year. Who knows?
This is random, but can we all say our favorite Christmas movies before we keep going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No,
All at
you
once?
go first.
What do I have to go first?
I mean, I
Emma,
already said
'cause-
mine.
Because
So
Emma already
technically,
said
I
hers.
was first.
Okay, mine's either the Santa Claus or Jingle All the Way.
Cool. I like both of those. Mine is The Year Without a Santa Claus because I really like the Miser Brothers songs. The Miser Brothers, Noah.
Jeff, what's yours?
Mine is probably Jingle All the Way. I don't really get into Christmas movies a whole lot, though. I don't get into
See,
Christmas anything, really.
That's me too. So as you guys have been talking about these Christmas movies, I've just kind of blanked out because I don't know what they are.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Valid.
Yeah, I
But
love
Jeff-
Jingle All the Way because I love Arnold Schwarzenegger, I love Sinbad, I
Valid.
love Phil Hartman, so it doesn't even matter that it's Christmas, it just wins.
Yeah.
Jeff, are you telling me that Krampus isn't your favorite Christmas movie after that glowing review you gave it?
You have no idea how glowing my review of Jingle All the Way is. It's nothing against Krampus. Jingle All the Way is just that good.
Fair enough.
Krampus might be my number 2 now.
Honestly, it's
Ooh.
up there for me.
It's just
Oh wait,
fun.
so Emma, you
So much
consider The Nightmare Before Christmas to be a Christmas movie?
It is.
It is.
Interesting. Okay.
It happens on Christmas.
Well, it's
a
sort
movie
of built
about
around Christmas, but it's also kind of built around
It's just
Halloween. I've always
characters.
considered it to be like a Thanksgiving movie.
No,
it's just
it's
between
a
them.
Christmas and Halloween movie. You can watch it
Yes.
on both of them, either of them, but not in between, and maybe on any other date
I
as
think
long
in
as you're in
between
the
is
spirit.
very valid.
See, I thought that it existed pretty much like prime, like in between the two. Like, you can watch it on Halloween, you can watch it on Christmas, but it's really best sometime in the middle, which makes it a Thanksgiving movie to me.
No, it's best on either of the dates.
Jeff, you've
I
never
would
even
say.
finished the movie. What are you talking
I
about?
have now.
Anyway,
It took like 4
Krampus.
attempts to stay awake the whole time, but I have
Oh my
seen the
gosh,
whole
it's not
thing.
even that long of a movie.
It's not, but I was
No.
always exhausted.
Jesus.
So Krampus. I want to talk about my favorite thing from the movie really quick.
Okay.
It won't be a long thing to talk about.
That's fine.
Creature design.
Yes.
Holy
Yes.
crap! I
Yes.
So
love.
good.
Yes.
I
yes.
am a huge nerd about creature design. Everything from like Star Wars to like Alien and all of that stuff. I feel like I named 2 really basic ones, but I really like creature design, and I really enjoyed the thought that went into every single creature. The elves. I loved Krampus himself. The goat eyes. The weird like
The Santa
Saint
mask.
Nick face mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
hard to tell, right?
many-
Because it has a jaw and teeth, but it doesn't look like his face.
No, it's
Yeah,
definitely
you
a
can
mask.
tell he's wearing it. Yeah.
It looks
So-
like he peeled Saint Nick's face off and wears it as a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So many of like the shots of Krampus are just fucking iconic.
Absolutely.
They're like really cool shots.
Him
and the
jumping
more you look
from
at
roof
it, the
to
more you
roof.
see, because it's just so detailed.
Yeah.
It is. His movement on the roofs is really nice and natural feeling too. It doesn't
Yeah,
look
that was something that
bad.
like when they first showed Krampus on the roofs, I think it was the daughter that saw him, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see him on a roof, she looks, freaks out, starts running, and then it shows in the background him like jumping high up and landing on another roof.
Yeah.
And when I saw that action, I kind of rolled my eyes and I'm like, oh, it's going to be like cheap CG. But then as it continued to show him running on the roofs, I was like, actually, this looks really fucking good.
Right?
It looks like they put thought into how Krampus would move, which
Yeah.
is like something that's like Pixar levels of thought into animation.
Well,
like,
yeah.
that's
So
like
honestly,
important.
We can
It's
explain
really
that a little
funny,
bit,
though.
though. Because all the
Well,
effects
see-
in this movie were done by Weta Workshop, which is the same people that did
Oh,
all the effects
Weta!
in Lord of the Rings. For those
Weta
who
is
don't
such
know.
a
Ooh.
Weta is a great effects.
Honestly,
Yeah.
you can tell.
Right? Because it's the same kind of, like, real gritty look that everything has.
Yeah.
The elves could be swapped out for high-class goblins or grungy dwarves,
Yeah.
Yes.
and I'd be like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
You know, now that you mention it, I do remember at Comic-Con a couple of years ago going to the Weta Workshop stand and seeing a model for Krampus. I should have remembered that.
See, what I love, though, is in all of his scenes, he moves so well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then when they have that big full-body shot of him, he's just like, whoa.
He just
And just kind of
waddles.
shuffles and waddles.
Let me just squeeze myself out of this chimney real quick.
His fingers.
Him coming
Let me
out of
just-
the chimney, though, was like so
Yes,
cool looking.
it's
That
such
was
a good
very
scene.
good.
Like, the creature design and everything on this was incredible.
Yeah.
Compared to everything else, the only ones I didn't like were the gingerbread men because
Yeah,
they were
they're just
CG
CG.
because they have to be. But
Yeah,
still,
they were too shiny.
like funny and goofy and like enjoyable.
But
Yeah.
what do you expect, right? I feel
But
like
the
that's
other
one
ones
of
were
those,
just
like,
so
more
good.
Christmassy kind of beats in the movie.
Yeah.
See,
The
that's
other
the
one-
funny thing is I'm seeing this marketed as a horror comedy, and outside of the gingerbread men, there's not a lot of like moments that would make me think, oh yeah, that's a horror comedy.
The full.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I
No.
laughed, but
No, the full opening is just a good setup. It's funny enough, but like it doesn't need to be a comedy. Mm-hmm. It could attach to a serious movie.
there's definitely
Hey.
a couple of beats more toward
So-
the end where they played it like kind of a comedy.
So Emma, what was the other one?
Oh yeah.
My other one. Wait, what?
The other creature design. You said there were only 2. You said the gingerbread men, and then you were gonna say something else.
Did I say there were 2?
Yeah, and then I felt like you were gonna keep
Oh.
going.
No, if I said 2, I misspoke. Those were the only ones.
So
that
it's
I
just the
didn't like.
gingerbread men.
You already said 2. You got to come up with something else you don't
They
like.
felt very minion-y to me. You know,
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
One of those like we're gonna see if people will latch onto this, so that we can market it. But you know what I've seen marketed for Krampus more is the teddy bear. Like the teddy bear is the one that I see all the time.
Don't like that teddy bear.
I guess the teddy bear is CG as well. I'll say teddy bear is the second one.
There we go. All right. We got it.
You know,
When you
like,
edit
I
this
forgot
and you
about the
realize
teddy
you
bear.
only said one, I'm gonna be so
But
embarrassed.
at this point, you would realize I don't edit any content out.
so
I thought
my
you would have
favorite
noticed.
I did.
I love that little robot dude.
He's neat.
I like how he moves all jerkily like it is just a wind-up toy that they fasten to Adam Scott's back, which I'm sure it is.
It
But, like,
probably is.
It moves so well, and it's one of those things where other movies would probably have done that in CG so that they could have had a robot that jumps around and moves better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in turning him into one of those little wind-up sparking toys, they made a robot that just was a lot better, and it looked real, and it was just good.
Yeah. For
I
sure.
like as far as the toy sack minions go, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
Toy Sack Minions. That's the name of my
So-
new band.
That would be a pretty good one, honestly. So
It
the robot does bring up a world building question that I had for Noah when we watched this movie. Does he upgrade his toys for the modern era, or does he just get new toys every few decades? Because I don't feel like the robot would have existed in the 40s when Grandma had her run-in with Krampus.
I think it's like. So there are certain embodiments of like Christmas toys, you know,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
certain.
The teddy bear is an example.
Yeah. Just like traditional things. I
Yeah.
think like Toy Robot has kind of like gone into that canon.
Also, the robot was
Um,
something that Max wanted. He's got a picture of it on his wall in his bedroom.
Ah.
Ooh.
I didn't know that.
You can
I'd
see
be
it at the
interested
end.
to go back and look to see if there are other like indicators around like that. But that's cool. But obviously he didn't have any like Apple phones or
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
like AirPods.
Krampus
Evil
doesn't want
AirPods
you
gonna
on
get
that
you.
phone.
Yeah, so I don't think it's like, I just think it's kind of like classic Christmas stuff.
Fair enough.
So yeah, probably an update every few decades.
Yeah, probably
Maybe.
it's just magic, you know, like every few decades one pops into existence and he's like,
Yeah.
eh.
Maybe
mean,
in
that
the
kinda
future
Kids
there'll
and
be
their
like,
robots.
That
maybe
kinda
in the
leads into,
future he'll get like a drone with knives for like helicopter
a Roomba
wings.
with knives on it.
Roomba with knives on it, classic Christmas movie. What-
So this kind of leads into a talking point that I wanted to bring up, which is the way that Krampus is kind of dressed in all this, like, you know, he's got the Santa face over his actual face that we never see. He's wearing like the Santa coat to disguise the rest of his body. And we never see any of the elves either. They're all like bundled up and they got masks on and stuff. It kind of gives this like symbolic idea that they are still something else entirely. They are still whatever like like druidic pagan thing that they used to be in the old days, but now they're just dressed up in all this Christmas stuff because they've been forced to, kind of.
Ooh, that's interesting.
You know,
Yeah.
like they are still at their core. You know, Christmas is still at its core just the pagan Yule celebration. It just has the big Catholic Christmas blanket draped over it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's super interesting take.
I think that idea was definitely in their minds in doing a lot of the design. It feels that way to me.
That would make sense. I think like it makes sense because Krampus is referred to as the shadow of Saint Nick, that like they're these other creatures but they take on like Saint Nick and his helpers like shape
they
to
they
act as like a
become-
corrupted version.
Yeah, just twisted into being the evil version of it. And I feel like that's kind of what the entire movie is as well, which feeds into the ending that I know, Nina, you mentioned that you didn't particularly like. I think it's kind of important to that particular symbolism. Because so much of the movie is just a Christmas movie twisted into a horror movie, so then you get to the end and you get, like, you know, the Home Alone soundtrack playing in the background while Max tries to bargain with the Krampus, and it looks for a moment like he can make a deal with him. And the whole snow globe thing at the end feels to me like it's the movie just kind of being like, oh, did you want a happy Christmas ending where they're all together under the tree? Well, here, fuck you. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
You know, that's how that felt to me.
I mean, yeah. So Noah and I have a ranking, which we have agreed upon, of the 4 possible endings that this movie could have had through the logic of the actual movie.
Right.
Okay. So the 4 endings are
from best to worst.
From best to worst, in our opinion. If Max were the only one to survive, if he just took the bell and went about his life like his grandma did.
Right.
That's top of the list. We would have loved it if that had happened. Secondly,
it would have been dark.
Everything happened, but Krampus did take. So this is basically like they wake up and the whole like happy Christmas ending happens up until the bell part, and they all remember, but they aren't in a snow globe. Like they all remember that it happened, and they're all stuck with that lesson and that horror, but they are left to continue their lives lesson learned. That's our second favorite. Third favorite is the snow globe. Fourth favorite is everything was a dream.
That is hands
Not
down
great.
the weakest possible ending.
That is the worst possible ending, and I am glad that they didn't do that.
Yeah, me too.
Of those endings you just said, the ending they went with is still my favorite.
Fair enough. Like, I can't really argue with that. I think it's not the best, but I still
would be lacking if when Max, it fades to black when Max has the bell. If that was the end, it is lacking a lot. But they could have ended there.
Yeah.
I probably would not continue to watch this as much as I did if it had ended there. However, I think that as far as, like, endings go, if you take the whole movie, like, everything as a whole a little more seriously, that ending can work.
And the cycle continues kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, for as much as I feel like it's worth noting, for as much as I just said that I really like it, I did not like that ending until I actually thought about it in relation to the way that the rest of the movie rolls.
Oh, yeah. When we saw it in theaters, we thought that was the stupidest thing.
Yeah, we walked out of it thinking that was a dumb ending, yeah.
Especially, well, and in fairness, the jump scare ending of
I hated that.
They should have cut
that.
It happened, and I'm just like, why is that there?
Yeah, what is this?
Just pull back and see all these snow globes of all these captured families and fade to black.
That would have been perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the funny thing is, if you think of it that way with all of those captured families and the fact that that is end goal for Krampus, the fact that, and I have a lot to say as someone who had a German grandparent, the fact that Omi, like Max's Omi, just like didn't like pursue it may have actually been worse for Krampus. Like, he kind of wanted her to run after him so he could trap them in a snow globe, and she, a young German child, was just like, yeah, I'm an orphan now, I guess that's that, and went on with her life.
Well, so I get the impression that everybody he takes winds up in a snow globe, and the fact that Max went after him and wound up being a part of it was just kind of a bonus for him.
But then the happy family, like, mourning wouldn't have been the same if, like, one of your kids is missing. Like, the moment wouldn't have played off as well.
It doesn't
Maybe
work
they
quite
forget
right
that
now,
they had that kid because they didn't remember what had happened.
That's true.
Until
that's a good point.
The kid got the Krampus bell.
It's true.
But let me tell you my thoughts on this ending. Krampus, at its heart, very, very much embodies that kind of like Grimm's fairy tales, like sort of like kind of storytelling and kind of.
Then they died.
And then they died. They're all like, they're all meant to be like these life lessons, warning you and showing you the consequence of like those actions.
Yeah.
Same thing with Krampus is he's like this figure that parents use to tell their kids to behave, lest Krampus take you and eat you or drag you to hell.
Yeah.
And I feel like if Max had been able to make a deal with Krampus, that just would have totally kind of ruined the point of Krampus.
Agreed.
It's true.
And I think the fact that he took Max and like led all of us into believing like, oh, okay, like they're all alive, they're happy, blah 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 blah, and then it shows like, oh no, like you're actually like stuck now. And much in the same way of these kind of like warnings that people gave their children, it's like there's no hope for you. There's no hope of like bargaining with this creature, of getting your way out. Like
all you can
once
do
you
is
summon
lose
him,
more.
like that is
all you can do
destiny.
is not mess with him in the first place, which is my only problem with like this interpretation of Krampus versus the original lore, is that these aren't naughty kids getting punished. This kid literally just wants everyone else to be nice to him. Like, I don't think
it was that until he like gave up and was like,
wished for them
screw all this. He was the last kind of like nail in the coffin of like turning towards more of a selfish nature. And
he was the chosen one.
That's when Krampus showed up, and that's why like he was supposed to be the one that's spared, is because he was the last one.
Yeah, because he was the good kid. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but it's still like, well, then the hopeless ending is like, oh, even the good kids get taken.
Well, I think so. That's 100% his fault, though, right?
It is
because
his
let's be
fault.
real here. This kid had no cards, and he
Yeah,
went up
no.
to Krampus and was just like, "Hey, you need to do what I say. I have bargaining power." And like, we know what happened. They laughed in his face.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's like, hey, I got a nice plate of gabagool. How about I give you that? You give me my family. And Krampus is like, shit, yeah.
I'll take the
got the
gabagool and I'll
gabagool.
take your family.
That's why I
Anyway,
came to Albany.
what did I have to say? It was about Krampus. Obviously, because that's what we're talking about. I'm even wearing my sweatshirt that is a gift from my very, very dear friend Carson that says "Happy Krampus Bench."
Oh, I love that.
To kind of
It's a
fit
good
with
sweater.
the season.
While you're thinking, I'm going to move to another part of this movie that I really enjoyed, if you don't
I'll
mind.
Please do.
remember it
Go for
eventually.
it.
Go ahead.
I really loved the characterization. Because...
What?
Can you not hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, whack. I really liked the characterization, and like at the beginning of the movie with the families meeting up and gathering and the way they interacted with each other, I was like, this feels very real.
It really does.
Like for me, someone who's more left-leaning, I see the right-leaning family, I'm like, they're fucking assholes. I hate them. But like a lot of my dad's family is like that, or at least that's kind of how I remember them. I think they've changed in recent years, but I'm like, I could see all of them saying those sorts of things or doing those sorts of things.
Oh shoot!
And
Half of the
maybe
things
if
that
they
say
were
are
watching this,
things
they'd
that
be
I've
like, "Wow,
heard
like
people
that."
I know say for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe they'd be like, that left-leaning family, like they're shitty. Like
Yeah.
they don't. Yeah, and so I don't know.
Honestly,
like the characters
my
felt
least
very
favorite
real,
part of this
and I
entire
really
movie
enjoyed that.
was
for
that
sure, yeah.
dinner scene where freaking Adam Scott is just sitting there being like, watching his son get bullied and just sitting there like,
Yeah.
hey now, Max, don't cause a scene, while it's like Stevie and Jordan who are being atrocious. And it's just like, yo, dude.
Yeah. That was probably, I'm glad you brought that up because I had forgotten about it, but that was probably the one part of the movie I really didn't like.
It's just hard
Because
to
they're
watch.
like mercilessly bullying this kid, and I'm like, okay, so the kid's gonna freak out, and then the parents are gonna come in and be like, what the hell's going on? But then the camera pans and it shows like both dads are like sitting right there just watching them, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
And Howard's just like, hey, that's just some good-natured ribbon over here. And
I was an Eagle Scout
in Albany. But yeah, you know, you sit there and it's just like, hey, they're just having fun, Tommy. You gotta leave them alone. And it's just like, Max, be nice to your guests. And then they have that conversation
be
after
nice to
dinner.
your guests is such BS, by the way. My mom always used to be like, you have to do whatever your friends want because they're the guests. But then when I went over to my friends' houses, this is not a call out for any of my friends, by the way, I'd have to do whatever they wanted.
A call out for Nina's friends.
I hated going to my friends' houses because they were like that most of the time, of we just do what they wanted. Or no. I hated going to their houses because they were like, what do you want to do? Or like the parents were always like, oh, let me get you this and this and this and this and this and this, or do you need anything else? And I'm like, no, let me do things for you guys. Can I help?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want to be a mooch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But some people really do be going. Noah made a note about this where it's like, if people harass me in my own home, I'm throwing hands and they aren't invited back. And that's a mood.
Yeah. Like, if my in-laws harassed my child, then they're not coming over again. It's not happening, you know?
Do you hear that? Yeah. In-laws.
Like,
my mom doesn't listen. My mom tried to listen to one episode and didn't make it all the way through, but the warning stands.
We should have talked about scanners. She would have stayed.
She would have. We should talk about Scanner for Mother's Day. For Mother's Day, my pick is Scanner.
Noah, does our mom listen?
I have no idea. Probably.
Okay.
Hey, you listen to that too. If my direct family comes in and harasses my hypothetical kid, you're not invited back either.
If my hypothetical family harasses my direct kid, they're not coming back.
I don't think any of my family has listened to these because they don't like horror movies.
Fair.
That's fair.
But hey, if you're listening to this episode and you're related to me,
no, you're
let
not.
me know.
Anyway, yeah.
If you're listening to this episode at all, let me know. No matter who you are.
So as someone who does have some crappy relatives, but also some awesome ones, the only crappy relatives that we ever had to stand being like in the same area as us for holidays were like older relatives who like we don't necessarily love being around, but also we'd rather they be with us than alone because we just don't want to. Noah, no, you can't name names. But yeah, no, it's just people that you don't want them to be alone, like Aunt Dorothy, where you're like, yeah, maybe they're a little abrasive.
I love Aunt Dorothy.
And they're a little rough around the
Aunt
edges.
Dorothy.
But like, it's still like you think of Aunt Dorothy alone in her trailer on Christmas, and you get a little bit sad, right?
Did they say that she lived in a trailer?
Yes.
Or did you just assume that?
No, because it was, okay, Aunt Dorothy, maybe next year for Christmas we all come to your trailer.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Like,
that's just like, well, that's a weird assumption.
If I ever had to deal with a whole family of people who were insulting my cooking and my child, yeah, that's the end of it.
This
Tell
is really
you what,
good.
I cook that much food for that
Try.
many people. Anyone says a single word out of line, and I'm smacking them. Like, they get no second chances.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna make some dessert that we can't pronounce. Isn't that great, kids? It's like, shut up.
You're not getting any dessert. Screw you guys.
It's just creme brulee.
It's a creme brulee. You want that. That stuff is so good.
I think about that sort of stuff a lot because, like, the obvious social thing you're supposed to do, as we've been told throughout the years, is like, oh, you just like take it and that's the holidays, haha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's very similar to the whole, like, oh, wife bad,
oh yeah,
sort of mentality of like, it's just kind of aged out. Whereas now, like, you're just supposed to have more respect for people.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of big cooking, and of my generation, of my family, like, if we were to get together for like a big dinner or something, I'd definitely be the one cooking everything. If you were to come in and make fun of my food or something, I'd be fucking pissed, and I would like let you know it.
Honestly, who does that anyway?
You don't want my food, you don't get to eat.
I've never been to a place that someone made a home-cooked meal where during that meal, doesn't matter how bad it was, that someone says, honestly, this is the driest chicken I've ever had in my life. No, you don't say that.
No, you don't say that. You write a vague rap about it later, a la Rapper's Delight, which is like my favorite verse of that song. Where
What?
Yeah, Rapper's Delight, the first rap ever. There's an entire verse where he's rapping about going to a friend's house and the mac and cheese looks like mush and the chicken tastes like wood, to quote the song.
Wow.
So
That's great.
but yeah,
First
Wow.
diss track.
you don't say it to their face though.
Yeah.
Like you were polite.
Of course not.
Like, maybe
The only time
maybe you bring it up later, right? It's your coworker's wife who did it. And it's like, hey, so you want to come over again? It's like, I don't want to be rude, dude, but honestly, we didn't really enjoy the food as much last time. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but we aren't really feeling it. But you don't do it in the moment.
But I mean, even in that case, you offer to bring stuff.
Oh yeah. I don't encourage being passive aggressive in social settings most of the time. But when it comes to
Be
something
regular aggressive.
that someone is doing something for you, yeah, I would be kind of a little passive aggressive. I would be like, hey, maybe we could order food in, or I could bring a side dish, or you invite them to your house. Like something to kind of mitigate it that's not coming outright and saying your wife's cooking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's ways to do that.
Like,
Offer to exchange
my
recipes
love
or
language
something.
is gifts. Like, straight up. And so I, like, cook and bake for people a lot. Specifically baking. That's kind of been my thing since college. If somebody, like, told me to my face, this is fucking terrible, I would cry.
I could just like
Nina, you got something
your
to say?
food is so good that if anyone said that to you, I'd fight them, and I'd also have to put them in prison for being wrong.
Thank you.
That's just like, yeah. But like, even if it, like, if someone told me that anything I did was terrible, I would also cry. I know I'm not like, I like cooking. I feel like I'm an okay cook. No one has ever told me that my cooking is bad. But if someone ever did, I would also cry. I think there's a difference between saying, hey, I don't like this dish, or this isn't for me, and saying, hey, your cooking sucks. Anyway, this is such a freaking tangent. We're talking about Krampus.
Yeah.
Very valid, though.
I don't know. I'm the type that, like, if I make something and somebody doesn't like it, then I'm just like, well, I don't know, don't take any.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, like, that's my attitude toward most things. If you don't like it, then just, like, don't. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just shut up.
So, I actually have...
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Mine was a slight topic change, but about
Mine
the
too.
movie stuff.
No, you go.
Okay.
Go for it.
So something I really enjoy, speaking of the dinner scene, is how there's 3 really nice distinct tones. The beginning of the movie, the pre-crump, it's warm, but it doesn't feel happy in the slightest. Like, the happiest moment is when you enter the kitchen and cookies
And
are being
Grandma is
made,
there.
and then the family comes in and the tone shifts, but it's still like the happy place, clearly. But as soon as you leave that room, it's very sterile corporate Christmas. And then you have the crumping, and it's all cold, it's icy, it's blue toned, everything's like, it's not a fun time.
It's a standard horror movie in the ice kind of a feel.
Mm-hmm. But then you got post-crump.
Crumpening.
After the crumpening has happened, post-crump is Hallmark
Everyone's all crumped
filters. Everyone's airbrushed and smooth and glowing, and it's white, and there's red and there's green, and it's a picturesque Christmas morning. I loved that.
Fucking post-crump clarity, am I right?
Yes, Emma.
Hey, Emma. Hey, Emma. Hey, Emma.
Do you take constructive criticisms for your comments? I'll take that as a yes. That was bad.
Anyway.
So anyway, does anybody else think that it's weird how
Yes.
Howard and the right-wing family are always talking about how, like, Adam Scott's family has all the money and stuff, but then they're driving a friggin' Hummer that has a gun drawer built into the trunk?
No, that
Yeah.
doesn't
They
surprise
got
me at
some
all,
money.
actually. No.
Clearly they've got money, though. They just don't allocate it correctly.
That reminds me of
Their
specific
candles
families that I do know.
If any of our listeners are considering putting a gun drawer into the back of your Hummer, don't.
You don't need
can
it.
put your
Just
guns
keep
in
a
duffel
pistol
bag
in the
and it
glove.
works just fine.
Put your pistol in the glove box illegally,
Pistol
like
in the
a
glove
normal
box.
person.
You can fit a shotgun into a duffel bag, typically. Like, there's easier ways.
Hey, so
Don't drive
for
a Hummer.
for legal reasons, this is all a joke. Also, Noah has a note here about a Calvin and Hobbes reference with the noodle incident, but
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to point out that this movie
Yes.
is rich with Calvin and Hobbes references. See, for instance, the snowmen.
Oh yeah, that's actually true.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
snowmen were horrific.
Right on, right on. Those are Calvin snowmen, yeah.
They were very Calvin-y snowmen.
I didn't think of that. I do like that.
I loved the snowmen. They were a great touch. There was like I know this is a widely discussed theory that has been largely dismantled by one scene in the movie, and I wish they had actually kind of stuck with it, but like that each of the snowmen is a person that we've seen die. Like there's some pretty clear film
Yeah.
language of Beth dying, and then it immediately cutting to a scene where Max notices a new snowman. Like in film
Yeah.
speak, that is an indicator that the snowmen are people who are dying. But later on, there's just a whole army of snowmen that do not correlate to the number of people who have died at all.
Which sucks because it worked. Because
Yeah.
there's the plow driver could be the first.
Well, and there's
snowman.
also the specific one that they look at and they know that it's Howard Jr.
Yeah, it does. It
Because
is.
it has, like, the face on it.
Also, man, I hate Howie. I hate
Oh, man.
I hate when a character's put into a movie exclusively to be stupid. Cause he's
Yeah.
cause you got Max sitting there. He's like, "Hey, Howie, how you doing?"
And he just
You
stares
like-
at him.
you like
Yeah.
anything?
I hate characters like that.
I just
hate
Yeah.
that.
anything.
Give him a couple of lines. Make him annoying. I don't care.
I would much rather have
Make him be the
that
kid that talks about
kid from
Fortnite.
Polar Express over a Howie, because I feel like the kid from Polar Express, we all know a kid like that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Howie, I don't actually know many people like that, and I feel like it's a really negative stereotype to like attach.
The
Yeah.
only people I know like that are only like that around strangers. Around family, they talk and hang out and have fun.
Well, and even around strangers, they'd probably be a slight bit more animated than Howie is.
Yeah, no, Howie looks like a corpse.
They would at least react.
Howie's in a
whereas Howie
vegetative
is-
state.
Yeah,
And
he's not okay.
I don't like that.
And I mean, maybe that's intended to be shown to us as kind of a reason to pass judgment on his parents.
It
Like,
100%
Howard
is.
wanted his son for so long. He wanted him so bad that he doesn't care that there's something blatantly wrong with him. He's just.
But
going
I
to
don't
ignore
I
that
don't read
'cause he's
that
got
in
his
the
boy.
movie's language
But
at all, because
No, it doesn't. It doesn't seem like that's what they're going
because
for.
he pays so much more attention to Jordan and Stevie, like so much
He
more
actually
attention.
does, yeah.
And it's like, oh, screw you, Dad doesn't wish we were boys. I don't know that he does. I know that he definitely wants them to fit into his like personal worldview.
He probably did want them to be boys, but now he's far
I mean,
too
they
happy
both
to
have
be.
those kind of gender neutral names, and like you know, that's
You can tell that this is the man who is proud to say he's got the two toughest girls this side of whatever landmark you want to have.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All the
For sure.
wrestling parents I ever met were just like him.
I liked Stevie and Jordan though.
Yeah,
They
I
were
did-
kind of jerks, but
they seem okay.
they seem like
I feel like they
okay
would have
kids.
grown up to be okay people.
They were definitely the most okay of that family, I'd say.
I didn't mind
Actually,
the sister.
the sister and the sister's like relationship is
She was
super
fine.
realistic.
She's just like, well, what did you expect me to do? She walked out of the house with a suitcase. What am I going to tell her? You have to stay alone for Christmas? And Tony Collette's just like, well, you could have
could've
told
called.
me.
Yeah.
That's another thing, yo. You can't do that. It's one
cannot
of my
do that.
favorite Christmas movie tropes of, oh, we invited random person and they're going to be here with us too. You know random person, the person you hate. Yeah, but it's Christmas. National Lampoon was real bad about that too. But like,
I actually experienced that last year.
ooh,
Ooh.
It was horrible.
I'm going to
Oh,
need some
man, it
info
was
on
so
that later.
bad.
But yeah, you know, like that. Well, I guess that I was about to say that doesn't happen.
No, it does. I
But-
can also
Surprise.
confirm.
I mean, it wasn't in my home.
Yeah.
I was at somebody else's home, and then they were like, "Oh, by the way, Dirtbag is showing up," and I was like,
Woof.
"God damn it! I had to deal with him at Thanksgiving too. Why would you do this to me?" And then I fell asleep on the couch because I was working third shift at the time.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, no.
I would
I
like.
feel it.
I would like to briefly go back to the snow.
Oh
Yes.
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 Not for any reason that you're expecting.
Oh, I'm so excited.
You think the
this
snowmen
past
are hot?
week-
I did too. I get it.
I was about to say the same thing.
This past week, you may have seen on our Twitter,
Oh my god, right!
about Coors Light's Beer
How
Man.
timely is that? I didn't
contest.
even remember the snowman in Krampus, so I didn't realize how like topical that was gonna be.
Yeah. How about
For those
that?
of you unaware, Coors Light is having a Beer Man contest. You can look at the hashtag Beer Man and see this stuff. But their like advertisement for it is it's like build your own Beer Man, which is just like a snowman
But with beer.
for a chance to win a backyard winter wonderland. And
Whatever
the
that
picture
is.
they have of this thing is fucking terrifying. It is the creepiest goddamn
It is a
snowman
scary
I've
snowman.
ever fucking
No,
seen
it's
in my
so
life.
bad. I
terrible.
saw one of the commercials earlier, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is what
Yeah.
Emma was talking about. Oh, that's bad.
It's really scary.
I tweeted out, is Coors Light doing some weird horror holiday event? What the hell is that thing?
Yeah.
And it just reminded me of the creepy snowmen that we saw in this movie.
Yeah.
It's very
It makes me wonder if,
similar.
like, maybe they just know their audience well enough to know that they have to set the bar low
Yeah.
for what a beer snowman should look like. But
Yeah, no, that's fair.
That's it's I wish we could build a snow. We probably will have enough snow, and we have a backyard this year, so
We had enough snow earlier.
that's
we
fun.
did. We could make a snowman, and if
Why make a snowman when you can make a
we'll
beer
make a
man?
beer man,
So
not
how-
Coors Light though, because
So how is it that you
Ew.
make a beer man? I haven't.
I
I
think
didn't.
it's just a
Um,
snowman with beer bottles in it. Right?
It has to be exclusively like dirty snow.
Oh. Is that a rule? Oh,
And they have to be sad to show that alcoholism is bad.
of course.
They have to have too much beer with them to show the dangers of addiction.
Naturally.
And they have to be what's the right way to put this? I'm not gonna say that. I feel like that would be not a great thing.
They just all
Um,
look dumpy.
They all look dumb.
yeah, they
You should
do.
make a
That's
sexy
a good way
one.
of putting it.
A sexy beer man.
Sexy six-pack beer.
Six
man.
pack
my
beer
God.
man. But yeah, I don't know. Back to Crumpy, real quick.
Back to the Crampster.
Back to Crumpy. Crumpster.
Do you want me to read random parts of your notes again? Because I always find that very funny.
I mean, sure, if you want to.
Yes.
You do your thing and then I'll do mine.
I love reading Noah's notes because I take pretty crappy
We
notes
need to get
as well.
theme music for this segment.
I think
So here-
you'd have to write it because you're the one.
So
who
here's how I take notes, right?
sorry.
I take notes live as I'm watching and it's just my thoughts. And then I have
I do the
lines
same.
like pedo Santa that I'm like,
I wrote the same
what's
thing.
pedo Santa mean? And then I'm like, am I calling Krampus pedo Santa? And I'm like, no, it's the Santa who's like checking out the freaking daughter. That's not cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I wrote the
right.
exact same note, just pedo Santa.
I think it's important, by the way, to point out that this movie takes place on what, like the 22nd is night 1.
23rd.
The 23rd
23rd.
is night 1. That's stupid.
Well,
no,
no,
it
because
is the 22nd.
Krampus- It's no, the movie starts the 22nd.
Yes.
But Krampus comes the 23rd.
No, yeah, no, I'm talking about the movie starting though. What is this Black Friday like chaos?
Okay,
that's
so today,
happening?
for reference, because I gotta interrupt you on this one.
Okay.
Today is the 19th of December, the day of recording. It is the last Saturday before Christmas. And today, we hit capacity for my store for a full hour and had to keep telling people to wait outside.
Jeez.
So
What is
I
this
don't
town
think...
just full of me?
Huh?
What is this town just full of me?
Yeah,
The
exactly.
earliest that I've ever finished my Christmas shopping was the 18th. I only did that once. I usually finish on like the 22nd.
I don't think the 22nd like Black Friday rush is entirely unrealistic.
It doesn't make any sense now.
No, I don't think it's unrealistic is what I'm saying, because that basically happened to me today.
Oh.
The 19th. 3 days off.
Yeah.
I don't think it's unrealistic. I think it could actually happen.
It's a little unrealistic.
I think it's also showing, because I thought it was Black Friday.
Right.
I think it's also because Black Friday is seen as like the start of Christmas shopping for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, this is when I'm going to go and get people Christmas gifts because of the seals. But I also think it's just kind of showing the selfishness of society, because there's like a few montages like before the actual like acting happens where it's just like showing off people's selfishness, which is like the core of the movie.
Yeah, sets the stage for everything else.
There's a lot of selfishness.
And I think Black Friday is just a great way of kind of showing that, because people really are that fucking crazy.
Yeah, nah, they are. And I don't think there's an end date for that until Christmas itself, personally. But
Sad.
so reading Noah's notes. Let's do this.
Let's take a gander.
Okay, so we're gonna start with the misquote, which is actually, I'm so sorry I got this so wrong. It says,
You should be.
for a movie that I don't find to be that great, I've seen it like
Whoa.
7 times. Which is
Whoa.
almost spot on to what I said.
You made it sound like
But
I
you
hated
said
this
bad.
movie.
What? I said for a movie that I don't think is that good, which
No,
is
you said
literally...
for a movie that I don't like.
Well, that's true. Thinking a movie's good and liking it are two very separate
Okay,
concepts.
fair enough. But I don't think
Some of
that
my
I
favorite movies
I
are
don't think
terrible.
that I misquoted it all that much is all I'm saying. I think I got it pretty close for just remembering something.
What's some of your other ones here, wise guy? What other
All right.
notes
Wow,
of mine?
you're sounding a lot like the megachurch pastors that just paraphrase the Bible.
Oh my
and
God,
they're like,
why-
Oh, I basically got
That's
it.
really hurtful. I can't believe you'd say such a thing to me.
That's one of the meanest things I've ever heard anyone say.
Okay, so other things. The animated section. Okay, so this is actually serious. Noah wrote down that he enjoyed the animated backstory.
It's so good.
It
That
so
was-
good. I love it.
once again, it's one of those things where I don't think this movie is perfect. I don't like it a whole ton. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. But I think that it's clear that the people who made it actually were making it to make something good. Like, they weren't just trying to make
really
a
cared,
cash grabby movie. That's how I feel about Birds of Prey as well, because Birds of Prey, this is going to show my bias for animation. Birds of Prey starts out with a 2D animated sequence, and to me it's like you can see the love that went into a lot of 2D animated sequences, because it's a dying the Krampus section was 3D animated, but it was still gorgeous. It's a dying
Well, there was a
art
lot
form.
of flat stuff in it as well.
It's a dying art form. I think this animated sequence was beautiful. It made me very happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
I liked it a
and
lot.
also I like Birds of Prey
Birds
a lot.
of Prey was a fun
I
one.
haven't seen it.
But yeah, I think to that end, when you do see movies that you can tell like the people that were working on it like actually like really cared about it, it just like raises the quality so much.
It makes me
Yeah.
more invested in the movie to know that the people making it were invested in the movie.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
shows in like all of the creature design as well. And like, I guess if you look into it, if you look through the credits, you can find where all the monsters are voiced, and they all have like names because they were all pulled like from the folklore.
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
just
that's
so
cool.
cool. I love the amount of detail that goes
the
into
thought
that
that
stuff.
went into it is
Yeah.
really impressive, and I really enjoy it. Anyway, what else have we got in Noah's notes? We have, sure, the dog ate a flaming cookie, dripping with sarcasm, that one. Because it's that shot
We've
where
all been there, though.
there's a shot where the gingerbread cookie is leaping through the air, like maybe a couple feet off the ground towards Howard, and then it just cuts and Rosie has eaten it, but it looks like Rosie's been stationary the entire time. I don't believe that dog can jump 2 feet.
She doesn't look like a jumping
Also,
dog. No.
also, really important fact about Rosie. The actual dog who played Rosie's name is Thor.
That is very important.
That's good.
But yeah, I don't think that dog can jump 2 feet.
I don't think that dog can jump 1 foot.
I'm not sure that dog can run.
I deeply love.
I don't think that dog.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. Noah's commentary on Howie in his notes is, I hate how they just have a kid who has only half a brain cell for the bit.
For the bit.
Yeah, for the bit.
Of course.
Noah.
Yeah, it's not great.
Noah's other is commentary on Adam Scott. Adam, please say a line that you sound more sure of. Even though you're trying to imply that you don't know what she means, it just sounds like you've never read that line before.
So that was when Omi is saying it's everybody's fault, actually, because you're all fucking awful people. And they're like, oh, what's he saying there, Tommy? And it's like, it's everybody's fault? And it's like, you clearly are fluent enough in German to understand everything she says.
From my knowledge of bilingual people, that's kind of how it goes.
Right, but like
switching between the two, like translating between the two is hard because you don't think of the two languages in relation to one another. No, and they are separate things.
But that's okay. Like, I'm okay with the concept of him not translating clearly, but to have him say that as if someone's holding up cue cards with one word at a time just off screen, and he's just like, it's all of our fault.
Because as someone whose dad has to translate for only Spanish speaking relatives, what usually happens is he'll get halfway through the sentence and he'll be like, he says that he's looking for the and you're like, you good there, Carlos? And he's like, and he'll like snap his fingers 8 times and be like, fishing pole, and we're all like, there he is. So like he'll like get most of it, the easy parts, and then there'll be one word where he's like, I know what it is in both languages, but I cannot say it. So yeah, he did just sound kind of clueless, but it's like Adam Scott's acting through most of this movie is, I want to say it's about every actor, honestly. As we were talking about the thought put into the animation, all the actors do a pretty dang good job.
They do a good job.
Yeah,
Adam Scott's pretty
agree.
Consistent as well. I've seen him in some very bad movies that he was still trying to do a good job.
I think that's his problem, right?
He's a consistent dude.
You can't put him in a good movie because it shows that he's not that great. But you put him in a bad movie, he rises up as like the cream of the bad crop and be like, yeah, I'm not great, but you better believe I'm not bad.
I mean, that's the thing, though. I don't think his acting is the problem when you try to put him in a good movie. I think the problem is that we all recognize him from The Good Place and from Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Is he in The Good Place?
And we're expecting him to be one of those guys. We're looking at him and we're seeing him as the form of like joke that he represents in those situations, or as the straight man to somebody else's joke. And we're expecting the wrong thing of him when we look at him. I think that's the problem.
I mean, the way he carries himself
acting,
doesn't make it better, though. Because, like, in The Good Place, he's so distinctly different from, like, who he is in Parks and Rec.
But he's still the same person.
Yeah. He's not, though. Because in Parks and Rec, they devoted an entire season to him being an emotionless straight man. And then they just kind of kept him as that, but he gradually unraveled, you know?
Yeah, they built him into an absurd character after that.
But, like, everything else I've seen him in, he plays this role. The role he played in Krampus. He's a dad, he's a little uncomfortable, and...
What about Step Brothers?
I haven't seen Step Brothers.
No. He's like an asshole dad.
There we go. In Little Evil, he's a dad whose son is the devil.
I did kind of want to watch that one.
It's not that great, but it's not that bad. There's a lesbian mom.
Like
she's like super butch lesbian, and she's better than all the dads in town. And all the dads in town are like, "Come on, we got to try and keep up." It's kind of fun.
That's funny.
You know whose acting was way too good for this movie? Toni Collette.
Yeah, no. See, I didn't remember. I had like flashbacks to Hereditary watching this movie when there are these moments of her face lit just by firelight. And it made her look like a million times more intense. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's right. She's in Hereditary.
I'll tell you what. I could feel the stress just radiating off of her every shot that she was on camera.
Oh my gosh, her hair was about to all fall out when she stepped into that kitchen to torch the creme brulee. And you could feel it.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she just looks so drawn. Like she's just been dragged through too much.
Not to be that horror guy, but the fact that horror is not represented at all in like any award ceremony is criminal, and she should have gotten an Oscar for one of her horror performances at this point.
And Lupita Nyong'o, who played the main character in Us.
Yeah.
Those two
Yeah.
have freaking killed it. Elizabeth Moss in Invisible Man.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many, like, especially actresses who kill it in horror and don't get any
Absolutely.
recognition for it.
Oh shit, what's her name in The Witch?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy, yes.
Now that one
Yeah,
did get
she is
awards,
so
I
good in
believe.
there. Oh,
but not
yeah?
her.
Not her. But I believe the movie was at least nominated, so that's nice.
Right. I can't wait till we cover that one. Oh man.
I'm terrified.
It's probably the scariest movie Jeff's ever seen.
It's probably the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Scarier than Krampus?
It might be even scarier than Krampus.
How?
Well, you'll just have
Krampus
to
was
find
11
out.
out of 10.
I don't mean to frighten you, Emma, but there's 2 Krampuses in The Witch.
Actually, it's the Krampus's mom that's the
I thought you were serious about the 2 Krampuses, and I was trying to put, like, I don't remember if Black Phillip has only 1 set or 2 sets of horns, and I was trying to, like, parse out whether you were talking about that, because I'm dumb.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyway.
So back to the Krampster.
Back to the
I
Krampster.
honestly can't think of any, like, specific thing that makes me not like this movie. I think it's just that overall, it's not my cup of tea. It's similar to, like, slashers. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with this movie, but it's also not something that thrills and excites me. I just think it's a passable, good for what it wants to be movie.
I think that's part of it being a Christmas movie, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one wants
Because
us
Christmas
to
movies
watch
by
Christmas
nature
movies.
are just not good. So if this was a purely good movie, it wouldn't be an effective Christmas movie. It has to be a little bit bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I enjoyed it wholeheartedly.
I think its script is pretty tight, too, if we're being
It is,
honest.
honestly.
It is. It really
It
is.
is.
Like, the little one-off
Like, just
jokes.
as a movie itself, I really enjoyed this movie.
I love the delivery guy being like, oh, must have been the boys in brown. Well, Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
And leaving without like, hey, must have been the boys in brown. Ha 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 ha. Get it? It's the UPS service. But, you know, like, they moved on from it. They moved on. It was nice. It was just like a bunch of little one-off comments.
Also, each scene where Max is, like, his wishes from his letters came true in a few scenes. Like, you know, his parents fell back in love. His aunt and his mom started getting along again. His, like, dad and Howard's, like, bonded. The sisters, like, started to get along again as well. Like, there was character development that if this was a typical lessons learned Christmas movie, it would have had a happy ending because everyone did learn their lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I kind of loved that it didn't have to hit those beats because there's no payoff for it, but it still did. And it makes the ending even sadder, and I love that.
Because it wouldn't be a Christmas movie without those.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an idiot. Full stop. That's all I have
Okay.
to say.
All right.
No, I'm an idiot because I had forgotten about the scene where, like, Santa's bag was, like, delivered to their door. and they're like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, oh, boys in brown, ha ha ha. And then they brought it inside.
And Howard makes that comment about,
Krampus,
why do the rich people get all the free shit? Who
yeah,
needs
because, like,
cheese?
Like, in the moment, I realized, like, oh, that's, like, Santa's bag sort of deal. Like, wild. And then it didn't come up again until very minorly. Like, that's the bag Krampus grabs when he gets into the house and kills the grandma. And he kills the grandma with it.
Yeah.
Like, I just, I didn't make that connection.
Yeah, it has all the demon toys
That is
in
where
it.
all the demon toys come.
Yeah.
That's how they get in, right? Because they, like, seal the outside, and that does keep Krampus himself out. That and Omi keeping the fire lit is, like, all keeping Krampus out. But they don't need to. Krampus doesn't need to get in because he already Trojan horsed his toys in the Santa bag, and I love that. Because it did click for me partway through. Also, I love Omi as a character.
She's really good.
She's great.
She's pretty great.
Very much reminds me of my grandfather. Like, they're German people just have a certain attitude. Like, not all German people, but there's a cultural thing in Germany of just very straightforwardness and a lot of, like, acceptance and rules following. And, like, that's all super, super apparent in just her character, and I love that that's how she's acted on it, honestly. It did straight up remind me. I don't even know if the actress is German, but she straight up reminded me of my actually German grandfather, or Austrian, but, you know.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I do want to ask, before we wrap this up, because we have been recording for a while now.
Yeah, we are running a little long here.
What was everybody's favorite Krampus toy?
Ooh.
I mean, I already said mine was the robot, and I stand by that. I think the robot was probably the coolest toy.
I'm a fan of that Jack in the Box Slug Boy.
Yeah,
that thing was fucking
Jack in the Box
terrifying.
Slug Boy.
I liked that one.
And I love any creature whose, like, jaw opens in a weird way.
Yeah.
So that was a big, like, winner for me. I also love the show.
Also, I love the dynamic that particular boy has with the elves. Like, the elves show up and he's, like, hugging them.
He's like, oh, thank God.
He's excited to see them.
He's
I
like,
just
oh my
got
gosh, they were about to
attacked
shoot
by
me.
a bulldog. You guys, it's crazy.
That little, like, closed eye hug was so wholesome. And he's just like, ah.
Yeah, I love that. There's so much depth to all these characters that we only see for, like, 2 minutes at a time.
I think Jack in the Box Slug Boy is my favorite too.
Yeah, same here. It was terrifying. Okay.
When we finally at the end. Sorry, this is gonna be my last thing, I think.
Okay.
I just want to toss in. I love all the elves' masks. I love the way that they look. The way they have that little, like, pitchfork glyph on the forehead. It's really cool. And I love how when we see the sleigh at the end, it's pulled by what appears to me. We don't get a great look at them. But it looked to me like it's more elves wearing these, like, animal skull masks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I loved that. I love the way that whole scene looks. Oh, it's just incredible. I love it so much.
It was really cool. Well, with all that said, and with the episode length running long, we're going to go ahead and start ending things.
Yeah, we are.
So, as always, I'm Emma. You can find me at MJade2017 on Twitter or Emma Panada on Twitch, which I haven't streamed lately because I've been so freaking busy, but hopefully I can do that again soon.
Mm-hmm.
And Noah, how about you?
You can find me as Bubba the Bad, BUBBADABAD, Twitch, Twitter, and Insta. Tuesdays and Thursdays on Twitch, Twitter all the time. Let me know what you think of our opinions of the movies, because I would love to talk. I work from home now and am very isolated and just want to talk to more people.
Aw.
Yep.
Valid.
That's the early stages.
Okay, so, and I'm Nina Wolverina. You can also find my horror-specific Twitter at House Usher Rises. I haven't been super active on there, but I want to be again. I also, if you like hearing stories about crappy customers, you can request a follow at Nina Shmina, where I talk about more personal stuff. And that's that.
You can find me on Twitter at Bubba Wubba Dab, BUBBAWUBBADAB.
You were
there.
so
You'll
close.
get there. You can follow my horror specific Twitter at Bubba Wubba Dab, BUBBAWUBBADAB. You can follow my sandblasting specific Twitter at Bubba Wubba Dab, BUBBAWUBBADAB. And
No,
I
that's
get
it.
it. I
That's
get
it,
it.
Jeff.
Follow my
No more. That's
personal
all your
account.
social media
You
plugs.
can request to follow Bubba Wubba Dab.
God damn it. Okay.
Okay, you're done.
Okay,
And
there's
you
a-
can follow me on
Follow the
Instagram at the
podcast
Hammer
Twitter.
Jeff.
There's an important question I have here, okay? A real question actually pertaining to things. Who's
Okay.
next? Is it me or Jeff?
It's Jeff.
Is it me?
Yes.
Oh, that means I gotta pick a movie really fast.
Right now, you have to pick one.
All
right
right,
now.
guess
We
what,
have to
guys? We're
announce it.
watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space next.
Oh, cool.
Are we?
Yes, that is my choice.
Oh,
Neat.
no.
All right.
Okay, cool. We're gonna
It's
watch.
the only
Killer
movie I can
Clowns
think of
Outer
right now, and I
Space.
think it is the second best movie ever made, right after the English dub of Blood Glacier. So I think we're gonna have a good time.
Oh, yep. You know
Okay.
what? With that context, I'm dead terrified. Next
Have
week.
you not
Yeah.
watched it yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh man,
I'm
I'm pretty
a-
sure it's on Netflix right now. Give me a second. I'm gonna look it up. If it's not on Netflix, I will pick something
Emma's
else.
desperately
You can-
trying to close out the episode.
You can follow the Twitter podcast at Casual Horror Pod. I post there sometimes. I want to post more like goofy horror takes there.
I
Sometimes.
loved
Or more
the
often.
Beer Man tweet was top tier. So we're
Yeah, I saw that on my main account, and I was like, I have to post about this on the podcast Twitter. But yeah, so thank you all so much for listening. I hope you have a happy Honda Days.
Or Toyotathon, if that is what you
Or
celebrate.
Toyota. We want to be inclusive.
we don't discriminate.
We don't discriminate. But fuck Chrysler Days.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's bad.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one's just bad.
Why is it not Chrysler Mist?
Chrysler.
That's why we hate it.
That's why we
All
hate
right.
it.
It's not just because
Okay.
Chrysler suck, it's that they didn't pick a good name.
And on that note,
Bye, everyone.
Bye.